Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and I'd like to wish you all warm welcome to our public celebration of our recent inquiry. And this inquiry is founded on the idea of action for learning for healthy, sustainable futures. I think the inquiry is special for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's the first time that Lifewide Education and Creative Academic and Creative HE have joined forces, so to speak, and tried to work together on a particular inquiry theme. Because Creative Academic and Creative HE are involved, we tried to put a focus on creativity and tried to encourage people to be aware of how creativity was involved in what they were doing and how it emerged through the process of action. And another reason that I think it's a bit special is that we challenged participants to collaborate with other people. In the past, when we've done inquiries, it's essentially been our own actions through which we've learned. But in this case, we tried to get people to find other people who were willing to work with them, and therefore our actions were in collaboration with other people, and we weren't entirely in control of what happened. So that I think made it particularly challenging for us. I think at the start of the process, we imagined it would be something like this picture, that we were, because of previous inquiries, familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals, and that we would try and identify one or two or three goals that we could work with. We would find people who were willing to work with us and create some sort of project around it, try to make a difference, try to do something in the world. And then over about 3 months, try to fulfill some of those actions that we thought about. And we periodically came together once a month through a Zoom meeting. And of course, now this is the 4th month, we're coming together again to share something of what we've learned, some of the stories and the lessons that we've learned. And eventually the full process will be when we write down and curate our stories for the magazine. So that's, if you like, the overview of the process that we've been involved in. And now I can't get my second slide. Great. Okay, second slide basically was talking about this form of conference, the open mic conference. And I think we owe it all to Pip McDonald, who's also presenting today. I think it was way back in February. I attended a conference that Pip had organized for Creative HE. And it was based on an open mic format, and Pip has a lot of experience of facilitating open mic format. She's a poet herself and has participated in several of these events. So it was really interesting to be part of it, and I thought that's a great way of presenting ideas, where you restrict yourself to a short time frame. In our case, we're going to try 10 minutes. We allow any sort of format and a combination of formats, stories, poems, animations, comics. And the idea really is just to encourage people to be as creative as they want to be. And so that's the background, if you like, to why we're trying it. So it's very much an experiment. And, thank you to all the presenters for having a go at this. And we'll look forward to seeing what emerges through the process. So I think that's all I want to say by way of an introduction. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to pass over now to Melissa.
Okay.
Wait a minute, Melissa. No, I've not made you host yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and I'm just going to say about Melissa. Melissa has been a very active member of our group. She's been a member of the Lifewide Education Research and Development Group since it started, and has been particularly active in this in this latest inquiry and has facilitated several of the meetings. Melissa, I think it's okay to say you're retired, but you are very active in all sorts of ways, in volunteering, in family, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you. I wanted to thank everybody for graciously allowing grandmothers to go first. So I'm going to be talking about the Grandmothers United project that 5 grandmothers got together, and over those past 3 months we've been working together, as you have been, around the strategic development goals. And what I have, and I'm afraid it's not exciting visually, I'm going to read out a letter to our grandchildren or our grandchild. We've written it for one child, so it's a generic letter. But it's a letter, as you'll see, explaining what we've been doing. So you have to imagine that you are a teenager, a mid-teenager in the 20s, 30s or 40s, reading this letter, because we've written it into the future. In fact, the image I was playing around with was of a paper aeroplane with a letter written on it being thrown into the future. That's what we're doing, throwing this letter into the future. So I'll read it and hopefully keep to time. Dear grandchild, you're very young at the time I'm writing this, so please save this letter to read when you're older. I would hope that you read it at a point when you've started to think about the world, the future, and how you want to live your life. I wonder if you'll be curious to know what your grandmother was doing to reduce the negative impacts of climate change for the world that you, your children, and their children inherit. I hope that you see that my generation did take the chance to try to improve the future possibilities for life on Earth. I hope that you don't have to judge us harshly for not doing enough soon enough. The ways we lived in the 20th and early 21st centuries, taking our opportunities to work, travel, learn, and entertain ourselves, did not truly count the cost of our choices for others and for the planet. Life was built around fossil fuels, plastics, intensive farming to produce cheap food, and many things that have damaged the planet and the plants and animals we share it with. Evidence of the damaging effect that humans have on the planet has been ignored and even dismissed. Then, as the consequences of our way of life became even more evident and alarming, it seemed an enormous challenge to undo our habits and our ways of coping with life as individuals, and even harder to shift the accepted foundations of living for communities, economies, and societies. Over the past few months, I started to work in a small group of grandmothers who are united in wanting to make sure of a good future for the generations who come after us. The UN, United Nations, refers to sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own need. As a group, we explored what we individually and together can do towards one of the UN Strategic Development Goals for 2030, responsible consumption and production. We've been reluctant to start conversations about climate and sustainability with friends and family, as we felt that if we did, we needed to have in-depth knowledge and ready answers to fix huge problems. However, we agree that we cannot wait any longer to open up this sort of conversation. We agree that by finding out, acting, and sharing what we can do to try to live more sustainably through conversations with friends and family, we might persuade them also to try more sustainable living. We believe that as well as changing our own behaviours, we can together and eventually pressurise organisations and government to better lead on and support sustainable living. We told our families about what we're hoping to do. Each member of our group knows that there are aspects of our everyday living where we can act to live more sustainably. We agreed to start with a focus on purchasing choices and the need for disposal and recycling of the waste these purchases create. We acted on the local guidance for recycling the packaging which comes into our own household, and had conversations with friends and family about what they do to recycle their household waste. We realise that we cannot trust the items we separate to recycle are properly recycled by local councils. We realise that we cannot trust what we read. Reports have emerged of some councils using cheaper ways to get rid of supposedly recycled waste by burning it or simply shipping it to another country so that this country has to deal with it. One of us contacted her local council about their recycling processes and guidance, and particularly questioned their plans for the future, urging them to keep improving what they do. Some of us joined in a national survey of household plastic waste, monitoring, recording and categorising every item of plastic disposed of during 1 week, and submitted the results. The combined results of the whole survey will be used to inform government about action that companies and supermarkets must take to reduce the amount of plastic being produced, which then becomes waste. We spoke to friends and families about what we've been finding out and doing. We explored the idea of greenwashing and consulted family members and friends to see what they know about the ways companies use techniques to inflate their green image. We experimented by directly contacting some retailers and manufacturers to complain to them about the unnecessary plastic in their packaging and products. And we quizzed them about how they were planning to reduce their plastic. We see the positive role that law and regulation plays, requiring producers to meet environmental standards for production, manufacturing, selling and distribution. But we also see that we can use our own power as informed consumers to persuade companies to act more sustainably. We mentioned this to our families and friends. From what we've learned, it's clear that there are no simple or easy answers. Complexity thwarts us when we try to change our lives to cause less harm to the planet. This understanding makes encouraging others to join us more daunting, as we know that we need to persuade them to make their everyday life more complicated. Some of our family members seem to be too busy and stretched to tackle the complexity and to find out how to make the changes. Also, many of the necessary changes in habits we need to make turn out to be less convenient and more expensive. However, we still hope that by joining with our families and friends so that we're learning together and together finding ways to change our behaviours, we will all make progress. And realising that younger children learn about climate change and sustainable living at school, as it's included in the primary national curriculum, we feel that our grandchildren might be our allies in family conversations. As we're focused on the potential power of talking with family and friends to create change, we contacted a charity which itself aims to connect people with the planet through conversations. Our contact at the charity was interested in our ideas and acknowledged that they had not previously considered that there is a role for grandparents in their campaigns. We were invited to join the charity's unofficial network of individuals to be approached to speak or to write an article. Perhaps because of what we've tried to do as a group over the past months, our thinking about ourselves seems to have shifted. We feel energised and more positive that we can help our families to affect the lives of future generations for the better. Perhaps the most significant thing we've learned over these past few months is that as grandmothers, we have plenty of opportunities to encourage, help and join with our families and friends to explore how we can live more sustainably and act on this together. I sincerely hope that your life and choices, dear grandchild, have not been made hard and limited by the continuing effects of the climate change, which I see have already started to impact on our lives. Most importantly, as you read this letter, I hope you know that you learned and tried with me and other family and friends ways to live well and protect and cherish our home planet for you and your next generations into the future. With much love and care, your grandmother. Thank you. I now can't hear you, I don't think. Could someone say something?
You're lovely. Lovely.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
I'd love
Thank
to
you,
be
Melissa.
that grandchild. I'd love
Yeah.
to be that grandchild and see such an active granny, not the image of grannies are always inactive and
Yes.
retired, as Norman was saying.
Yes.
So reading all that you've been doing, I would be impressed and probably feel a bit guilty if I haven't done at least half of what you've told her what has been going on.
Yeah, we had quite a debate actually about, because we found the letter quite an emotional thing. Because it made us think into the future, and which was really what we were hoping to do anyway. That was our project. And we had a bit of a debate because this needed to be something for a conference to say what we've done. But what we thought was that we would personalize our letters and maybe have this as the background, but write something more personal for, many of our grandchildren are tiny babies. They're not in a position to read this, but there's a lot of emotion caught up in it. And I think that was probably us also thinking about our role as grandmothers, that our caring has extended and extends way beyond our beyond our own lives into future generations. And it seems to be something triggered or amplified by being a grandmother. And I think thinking about those teenagers and hoping that they're thinking about their lives and the world and so on, we wanted to be there with them in our letters. So imagining we're not there. So
it's a brilliant idea, Melissa, I think. And what came across to me was the power of a letter. It's like a manifesto, you know, nailing your colours to the mast and saying, we are going to do something about it. It really was very powerful as a manifesto. Thank you very much. I think if we can move on now to...
Yep, I'm passing on to Joe and Claudia.
Okay, so Joanna. Joanna's, I suppose, a representative of Creative HE and Creative Academic in this inquiry. But Joanna's a lecturer in journalism at City University London, and Claudia Scutarici, is that correct? I'm sorry if I...
That is correct. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, a graduate from the degree of journalism, BA journalism at City University, and also I think the lead photographer in the project that you're going to talk about, Relentless Project. And I know, Joe, you've had a long commitment to sustainability in fashion in particular, but in all sorts of other areas as well. So yeah, and you're bringing that to this project as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Melissa, if you could just make me the host and then I'll be able to share my screen.
Oh, right. Sorry. Make host, there we are.
Fantastic.
Has it happened?
Yes, I think it has happened. Yes, I can share my screen now. So just very quickly before I do that, I just wanted to say to Claudia, thank you so much for joining us today. And also maybe we could all congratulate Claudia because she's actually going to be graduating next week with a BA Honours, a first class.
Well done, well done.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me today.
Thank you for coming. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a 10-minute film that kind of captures our Relentless project. There's no volume on the film because as we show it, we're just going to have a chat with each other about, we thought that one of the things that came out of this project was all about our relationship, the two of us, and other relationships as well around the project, which kind of made it happen. So I will just start playing the video. Hopefully this is going to work. Okay, can we all see the vid? Wonderful. So just for a little bit of context, I guess. So yes, Relentless is all about, it's an extracurricular project. We started it last year. And the idea was last year we were in lockdown and we wanted to do something that spoke to fashion and sustainability. And so myself and a group of third years, we basically made a fashion show all around the world, wherever people were. We borrowed clothes, begged, stole and borrowed them, and then we made this video. That's actually my son that you could just see there. So in terms of relationships, right from the start, relationships were everything with this. It was how we worked together as a team and put this together. And there's Diana, Claudia. Now she's the glue that sort of holds this together, isn't she? So she was your mentor, wasn't she, previously?
She was my mentor in the City Buddy scheme at university. So basically you can get a mentor from the second or third year that is going to help you get used to university life or like moving in a different country. So Diana was my mentor when I was in first year. And I remember we had a few chats over lockdown and she mentioned she was working on a sustainability fashion documentary and I was so excited to see it. I just couldn't wait to see the final result. I thought it was a great project from the start.
And there you are. In fact, that was the first time you physically got involved. So at the end of the Relentless project last year, we had a party outside because the rules were still, you weren't allowed to gather inside. And Claudia volunteered to be our official photographer for the evening and captured these brilliant images. We had so much fun at this party because it was the first time that we'd all got together. And I remember, Claudia, at the end of the party, we walked back towards the tube together and we were chatting and we were like, next year, Relentless 2022, we're going to make this happen.
Yes, exactly. I definitely wanted to be involved from the start. I didn't even care what we're going to do with Relentless. I just thought, okay, I want to do this.
And I mean, there's your logo. So Claudia was so involved with everything. She really was the driving force this year. And Diana was in that role last year. And that's something I've learned from this. I think you kind of need one key person within the project, because I see myself as more of a facilitator, because this is really about my students and what they want to say about the world and what they want to achieve. So, but you need that one person who is going to basically whoop some ass. And just get everybody to really, you know, motivated and moving. And Claudia, straight away, she designed this logo, which was based on the old logo, but with a needle and thread. We decided that we wanted to find a charity partner this year. So we worked with the Fashion and Textile Children's Trust, who I'd met through a guest lecture. So again, it was kind of using that relationship to bring them in. And also I just knew that Claudia, after that party, was so brilliant at photography and, you know, is a photographer. So it seemed like that was a natural thing. And I think we talked from the beginning, didn't we, about making photography
Yes,
a focus?
we had like a few ideas on what to do, but we definitely, from the start, we mentioned we wanted to have a live panel discussion and a photography exhibition. And we were also talking about doing another documentary, but decided to focus on the panel and the exhibition in the end.
And even that, because I mean, this is the era of everything changing at the last minute, because we were going to have the panel discussion on the campus, and then it was strikes, wasn't it? Not lockdown.
It was strikes.
Yeah, so we, like, you know, but I think we didn't panic, because it was like we were so used to at this point, you know.
We kind of expected anything at this point, and we knew we were going to find another way to make it happen, because we were all so passionate about it and we all wanted to see it happening.
Yeah, and I think like today, I think the whole live panels that you can record are so useful in so many ways. And it was easy for the charity because they had a few logistical issues around coming into campus, and all our guests were kind of relieved, I think, actually, that they could just
They were, for sure.
But all the guests, you guys found them, didn't you? I mean, that was hard work on your part, and exploring new relationships and existing relationships.
Yeah, it was. And I think at one point, about a week before, we were all quite panicked because we thought we didn't have enough guests. So I got some of my classmates and friends to get involved and see if they knew someone that wanted to come and would fit our idea. And yeah, it was just through people just asking, do you know someone? Can you recommend someone? And it was through these relationships that we found all of our guests. And in the end, I remember we thought, okay, so we managed to find the guest. Okay, so this is happening. It's actually happening.
And they were great. They were so good, weren't they? Because I think that was the other, because we were talking about sustainability, and especially young creative people who have got so much invested in the future, and their brands, their businesses are really focused on sustainability. They were more than happy. You know, there was no fee. We had zero budget for this. This was just, we were doing it because we wanted to do it. But they were really happy to be there, and the conversation flowed. And it was all kind of leading up then to the exhibition, which, Claudia, without you, we wouldn't, it just wouldn't have happened. Tell us about I mean, you had two other photographers, but it wasn't easy. All the photos you're going to see today are all Claudia's, but we had two other photographers as well.
So at the beginning, there was two of us. It was me and another classmate. And we decided we wanted to do the photo shoot at the old Topshop on Oxford Street in London, because we thought, you know, it represents the high street. And that was like the idea that we started from, sustainability and the high street. So we went to Topshop. I remember it was a Saturday morning around 6:30 a.m. It was absolutely freezing outside. And we got there and we just looked at each other and went, now what? So we just started playing. We just thought, okay, let's see what comes out of it. And then we can share the pictures with the team and find out their thoughts. And then everything got in the way, university and exams and stuff. So the other photographer was like, oh, I can't do 10 pictures. I'm only going to have around 5. at that point, I just thought, okay, that means I need to do more. I need to find more people to shoot with. I need to find maybe an extra photographer. So I just asked people that I knew worked in retail. I asked them, do you want to have this photo shoot? It's quite cute. It's just for this project. It will be fun. And this, actually, the one that you see now in the picture, was the third photographer. She was a member of our team. And I just thought, let's see, who else wants to do? Just some pictures to show their view on the high street. And then it was just about going out, taking the pictures, editing, the whole process. And we ended up with about 18 pictures in the end, I think, which was pretty good for the exhibition that we wanted. But for one of the shoots, we went to a different shop that, again, closed down, and we realized they're actually working. So we can't shoot there anymore. We got back to Oxford Street to do it at the top shop. And then it was just that challenge of finding new creative ways to show the same place with a different person and not make it look repetitive. I think that was the biggest challenge. And then just trying to get everyone to send me the images, to process them. But in the end, it was, again, all about relationships. It was all about talking to people and setting clear boundaries and communicating with them.
And I just wanted to show you guys this picture. This was from an event that we did. I think it was just before Relentless, wasn't it? We did a women.
It was.
Yeah, as if we didn't have enough to do. We did a women in theatre event. And I was straight away, Claudia, would you please host it? Because by this point, our relationship, you were like my deputy head of third year, basically. I was just like, this is somebody I can depend upon. She's incredibly professional. She'll do a brilliant job. And there you are with Linda at the exhibition when we kind of got to reveal the images and celebrate what we've done. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you, Claudia, because we couldn't have, there's no way this would have existed without you. And I think, you know, I hope our relationship will just carry on and on. We're already talking about Claudia coming in and doing a guest lecture for me next academic year, talking to my fashion and lifestyle students. And I hope this relationship of Relentless is going to carry on, and that, you know, next year we'll have a whole new third year, and that maybe, Claudia, you'll convince them to carry it on and keep Relentless going.
I already had conversations about this with third years. I told them to get involved. I literally learned so much from Relentless and from all the events and all the extra stuff that I did with you. So thank you, Joe, for everything. You've made third year unforgettable.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
That was wonderful. Yeah.
I was thinking, how important is this thing about personalizing? You know, Melissa was saying that the letter was a way of personalizing. Joe was saying, and Claudia was saying that how personal you have to get these relationships again. I think everything went wrong when we started to institutionalize things, and we don't feel that they touch us. Many of our on the way successes or supposed failures on this, all the projects that we made with the SDGs that we didn't get what we wanted, basically is when people, as Melissa was saying, are too involved in their own lives and don't feel that this touches them. So in a way, going back to relationships, you know, to the one-to-one, to call people by name instead of dear parent. Who's a parent? You have a name, you have, that's a role, and it's shared with so many others. So in that sense, when you personalize it, it touches you again.
Yeah.
That was great, but can I suggest we moved on to Josie next, actually, so we can try and keep to time. Doing very well so far. And Josie, I mean, I think I remember you the first time we interacted, I think, was on the Facebook page, the Creative HE Facebook page, and then you got very interested in the Lifewide work, and so you've been jumping between the two for quite a while now. Yeah, so Josie is the head headmistress of the Greener House Nursery School in Chile, and she's also a lecturer in teacher training at the University of Los Andes, which sounds fantastic, also in Chile.
Sounds cold. Thank you. Let me see if I can share my screen. Wait. Yes, I am able to do so. So that's it. So can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Just looking at that. Well, as Norman was saying, in my different roles, basically, I've been trying to convince people about different things and move people towards different things. So I'm quite enthusiastic about things. So in my role as a teacher, as a teacher with undergraduates for early years programs, and as a head with my team and with parents and in my house. I've got this different role. So this organizing things and implementing hasn't been as successful as I would have expected. And I've been thinking about how. And basically my conclusion is that instead of saying, I believe modeling has been the most basically inspiring one. More than saying things, modeling and doing things, instead of just telling them, should we do this? Just start doing it yourself and show some results. I think is the best way of persuade and invite on this journey for the different areas or roles that I have. And of course, what I've also realized is that because this is a bit a gray area, you know, you feel a bit not too enthusiastic about the future. You feel a bit dark about this future. I tend not to like watching futuristic films because it's so gray and metallic. And if you go to other planets, it's all metallic. And I need the green and I need the life. So I tend to see people see the future as not as happy. So if you don't produce it as a happiest possible thing, people won't be as enthusiastic. They just want to shut off to that possibility and not look at those things. So basically, I've come with these ideas of first stay positive and not only recognize but celebrate any achievement in the direction that we do, because people, if not, feel really frustrated because they don't get the big results. So first, stay positive. So this has been the advance. Instead of saying what we don't have, instead of saying what we haven't done, let's see what we have. In that sense, people will feel a bit more enthusiastic on continuing doing so. Just as in education you do with a child, instead of saying what you haven't done, just congratulate them for what they've done. Then create an event collectively. I think it's very important to keep up with the idea of having teams involved and how you could do it and how you think you've been doing it. Because again, as I was saying, people are not so conscious about what they already do and feel a bit frustrated of what they are not able to do. So instead of that, just make them create an event collectively from their own ideas. Also, don't have this fixed result idea in your mind. Normally, one has an idea of how this should look at the end, and normally it's quite bigger than what it results. And also, the idea of having this fixed thing is very difficult because it's persons that we're working with, and persons are not stiff material. So if we want to make them become some kind of sculpture that we've got in mind, we won't have it. So in a very, figurative way, there are fatter, bigger, larger, beautiful, and have larger eyes or whatever in a very metaphoric way. So it won't be the way you first thought about. Then let be, delegate, and let everyone do whatever they think they are doing. It's also something that it's very difficult when you have an idea of how grand things can be. So if you delegate and let people be and just move along, and also promote for them to move along, and not make them feel that if they didn't do exactly what they planned, well, they kind of failed. This is a kind of project and ideas that you need to be flexible about because of life, because it's very intense. Also listen and follow their own ways and other ways that maybe they were not in the project, that were not, I always think about Melissa. I'm not a human grandma, but I'm a dog grandma, because my children left, my children no longer children, they're adults already, but they left their dogs with us. So we're basically grandpa and grandma for the dogs. But I so look forward to try and have some influence. So in that way, listen and follow all what you've been doing. I hear Joanna, and I'm a consultant also for schools. And one of the schools are trying to go into project-based learning, and I'm trying to help them out in that. And they were doing a project in lost and found clothes, and how they could motivate children about the industry of clothing and how that could be sustainable. So, you know, you listen to things and try to follow those ideas and appreciate different outcomes, literally appreciate them. Instead of being frustrated about what's not going on or not happening. And then last but not least, what if we're wrong? What if actually the world will find another, you know, a big hole where petrol comes out for free and it self-produces or whatever? What if we're wrong and actually the world will be regenerating in some way? Just for the skepticals, the ones that are saying, oh, this is not happening. We could have petrol for years and years and years, and this will only be a crisis and things will go like this. You know, we'll be freezing like in the cold ages, and then it will be hot just in some other cycle. Well, my idea for that is that we don't have to really convince people that this is going to be definite and we're going to lose our earth as the way as we know it. Basically, for the non-believers, you may think people tend to deny things that are bad, as I was saying. So even if we're wrong, the proposals imply a better and rational way of using our environment anyway. So even if we're wrong and we have more, like if you do have all the money, why would you waste it in a way that it wouldn't be rational? So in that sense, even if we have the earth forever, this is a better and rational way for doing it. It's also more respectful for the ones that we be. Just throwing something for Norman for his next presentation. So it implies a more respectful way of interaction. Our effect is literally quite more significant than what we think. So whatever we do, it has that butterfly effect. Whatever we do, even if it's tiny, because people feel a bit frustrated because they feel, well, oh, I won't recycle because no one is recycling, or it's only 10% of people that are recycling, whatever. Our effect is really more important. And so any contribution will be for a better interaction in our ecosystem. So it doesn't matter if we have the Earth forever and we don't have in Mars, you know, in the next century or something. It's just better. It's a better way to live our lives and to feel that we're using things better. So in that sense, I wouldn't even bother telling people that, you know, this is the end. And so let's do something right now. It's just because it's better. And one last thing is I'm a movie watcher in different things. So as I was saying at the beginning, modeling, I think, is quite important. So in that sense, just keep swimming, as Dolly was saying in Nemo, because you may get to Australia from whatever place you are, and, you know, swim and swim and swim and get there, and probably you get a bunch of other fishes to come with you, or run as Forrest Gump, because you may find that there's a crowd following you, basically, and you start running, and then one joins and the other joins and the other joins, and you inspire a whole bunch of people who will probably run around wherever you have the direction to go. So that's my presentation.
Oh, lovely. How positive.
Oh, that's kind of my style. If I don't keep positive with all the things that don't go right, probably I wouldn't be doing everything that I'm trying to do.
Mm. Yeah.
Fantastic, Josie. It was really good, really good. And as you
Thank
say,
you.
I mean, we've all operated in this space where we're not in control, and you know, and I think this idea of just keep swimming is a great one. Actually, that's all you can do in the end, isn't it? Keep swimming, and then hopefully you.
Or sink. So you better keep swimming.
This is it. We don't sink. Oh, we just keep going. Should I just segue? I think it's a great segue for me, actually, because I was going to say it's been a great privilege to lead Lifewide Education and Creative Academic from their inception. But the reason is I just keep swimming with those ideas, and for sure, you know, and you're proof of it. Other people who value them will come and join you, and if only for a while, they'll join you and they'll give their commitment like you've done, and that makes it all worthwhile in the end. So that's the way it is, I think.
Mm.
So
I was thinking about putting the music for the very end, you know, although, you know, just keep swimming,
yeah.
so that you get that in your head whenever, when any grandchild doesn't, or pet, or, you know, child, you know, your son or daughter doesn't hear you. Well,
Yes.
just keep swimming.
Yeah. Right, so I think it's my turn now.
I've done.
So I'm hoping that the sound will start. I didn't see the share button, but we'll see if the video, tell me if it doesn't, if the video sound doesn't start. So with this one, I have a hobby of making like little natural history films, mainly for my garden, but more recently I've extended that. And I thought I'd have a go at trying to make a movie of, you know, basically my presentation, just to see how it works. So that's the little bit of context for this.
Norman, if there has to be sound, we are not hearing it.
Thank you. I'll try and come out. I will try again, sorry. I have to click the share screen before I go into it.
And in the very
Got it.
bottom, it says something about video.
Yeah, I've got it. Well, it's not clicking for me, but yes, got it. Okay, let's try again then. Sorry about that.
So,
No,
no.
I think there might be a Zoom setting that you have to click to get the audio to share.
do you know where that is, Joanna?
I think when you
Norman,
press the share screen, there is like a little box that says share audio.
I did that, and unless it unclicked, yeah, unless it unclicked as I started showing it.
and does it say something like optimize video on or something like that?
There is another button saying optimize, yeah.
That's
So
the one you should.
rather than the share sound thing. Okay, let me try again then. Sorry, we'll get there. Optimize video. Oh, they both click. Okay, let's try that one then.
Look at this tiny piece of paper and look with your concentration. when I look deeply into this sheet of paper, I can see a flower, a cloud floating in it. You don't need to be a poet in order to see a cloud in a piece of paper. We know very well that if there were no cloud, there would be no rain, and the trees would not be able to grow. And without the trees, you cannot make the paste for the paper. So really, the cloud is in here. It's inside the paper. Paper is made of non-paper elements, and water cloud is one of these non-paper elements. You can see the rain, you can see the forest, the trees. With the eyes of a practitioner of meditation, you can see things that other people cannot see.
This wonderful story by Buddhist monk and poet Thich Nhat Hanh introduced me to the profound idea of interbeing. He said to be is to interbe. We cannot just be by ourselves alone. We're connected to everything else. And my action learning project has become an expression of this idea. I've lived in the village of Betchworth on the edge of the Surrey Hills for nearly 20 years. I feel deeply connected to this place I call home, but during the years I've lived here, I've had little interaction with the local community. I saw my action learning project as an opportunity to become more connected to the village and its community. I envisaged a new cooperative relationship with people who wanted to make a difference to the natural environment and the life it sustains around my village. Building on my existing interest, I wanted to develop a better understanding of the natural habitats in the area where I live and encourage greater biodiversity. As I was starting my project, I stumbled on the website of a group of people who call themselves the RE Betchworth Climate and Ecology Network Group. RE stands for rewilding, recycling, reducing, repairing, reusing, restoring, and more. I emailed the leader of the group and offered to help explain that I was starting an action learning project and I intended to create some habitat maps. He invited me to the next meeting of the group in his kitchen, and while stroking his cat, I was welcomed and assimilated into the group. I immediately felt that I was amongst kindred spirits, and that sense of belonging has grown over the last 4 months. Our kitchen meetings are jolly affairs, but they're also businesslike. We created a plan around the idea of a greener, healthier Betchworth, and our priorities in the current year are firstly to establish a forest school, and we're going to offer tasters in August. Secondly, we want to support a Jubilee Plant a Tree campaign. We've already reached our target of 70 new trees with the help of our local plant nursery. Thirdly, we want to organise a village apple pressing festival in September. We're also encouraging greater awareness of the problems of biodiversity and climate change. And currently, we're trying to establish a charitable foundation to raise funds for our work. In the short time I've been involved, we've developed a communication strategy to enable us to share the work we're doing and invite collaboration. We're using the village WhatsApp forum, our own mail list of people who've expressed interest in our work, the parish magazine and notice board, and printed leaflets that are inserted into the parish magazine that every resident receives. I've helped by creating a new biodiversity website and a YouTube channel for our educational nature movies. Collaboration is at the heart of our project, and I've experienced 2 forms of participation. The first is where I've contributed to the work of the group through my own activities. For example, in creating the biodiversity website and making habitat maps and short nature movies. Over the last 4 months, I've made 6 short nature movies for the project, and these have been circulated to our community and posted on the educational page of our website. Making the maps and movies encouraged me to explore places I haven't been to before, and they forced me to learn about the flora using the PlantNet app. The second form of collaboration is where we've worked together as a group to achieve specific objectives. For example, we planned and drew up our strategy for the Jubilee Plant a Tree campaign, and we worked together at the village fete on the Queen's Jubilee holiday weekend to involve our community and successfully gained our target of 70 pledges to plant a tree. So am I healthier or in some way a better person for being involved in this action learning project? I think the answer is yes, in that I think the new relationships I've formed are enriching my life. Through participation in the whole of our life, we're able to satisfy our psychological and physical needs. Building on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Clayton Alderfer developed his ERG model for overarching motivational forces that drive our actions, namely our needs for existence, relatedness, and growth. My participation in the RE Betchworth Community Project has enhanced my relatedness through new friendships and feelings of belonging. I feel my contributions have been valued, and this has also boosted my self-esteem. It's also given me the new opportunities for personal growth and involvement in creative activity, as I've been able to pursue my interest in making educational nature movies. At the same time, I feel I'm doing something useful for my community. Furthermore, as a collective, we're helping to raise awareness of several of the Sustainable Development Goals and taking positive steps to address some of them in ways that might ultimately contribute to more sustainable futures for our children and grandchildren. As I reach the end of my story, I want to return to the idea of interbeing. I now realize just how much we are inter-are. By collaborating with others to try to bring about a future that is more sustainable and regenerative, I'm deepening and extending my own interbeing through new relationships, connectivities, and interdependencies with people, with place, and with the natural world. My new insight is that being conscious of my interbeing helps me make better sense of my presence in the ecological world. The sign of a successful action learning project is that it does not end after a predetermined time. What happens is we learn that what we are doing is actually important to our life and to the person we want to be, and realize that action learning, like education, has no ending. I'd like to conclude by saying a special thank you to artist and environmental activist Brenna Quinlan, who unknowingly collaborated with me in this presentation. Thank you.
Very lucky that it worked, because you're one of
Yes.
the successful results of SDGs, and all the planning going, and just relating to the right people swimming in the same direction.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I joined a shoal of fish, I think is the best way to put it. I mean, I didn't create it. It was there. They were obviously all committed to what they were doing, and they're a lovely, lively bunch. So it was very easy to swim with them. And because I was already wanting to do similar things to what they were doing, it makes it easy. It makes it easy to start from scratch and forge those relationships that enable you to collaborate with people is really quite a challenge, I think.
But it was a great fit as well, like you were saying as well, Norman, for you, you know, which is natural fit.
Yes, that's right. And that's what we have to look for, I think, in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because if not, it's kind of frustrating at some stage. So it's you've been doing it for a long time, you know, trying through different areas, creative, education, and Lifewide learning. So finding a group of people where you can nurture from, and you can also give all your expertise, it's just so rewarding.
Yeah, and it's on my doorstep, literally. I can walk to the houses of the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally,
Anyway.
you're in your pond. They are in your pond.
That's life. Right, I've given Pip the host now, and so as I said earlier, really the reason we're trying this as an experiment, this open mic, is because of Pip. So thank you very much, Pip. You've brought us a new way of doing things. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'll just go ahead and share my screen. Thanks, Norman. Right, I'm going to present my reflection on my action learning project in the form of a poetry comic. So as you know, the open mic for Creative HE took place in April on World Creativity Day, and that's what I'm going to be reflecting on in a poetic capacity today. So zap, bang, pow and kapow. So you know me, my name is Pip. I work at the Royal Agricultural University in the Digital Innovation team. And I'm also a wannabe experimental performance poet, which is lots of fun too. Creative HE community has been a big part of getting through the pandemic and being fashioning creative responses to restriction. So you might say, well, hang on a minute, Pip, what on earth is going on here? What is a poetry comic? Well, the simple answer is I don't know. It's new territory, and that's why it's exciting. It's a conscious and intentional kind of creative attempt, if you like, to amalgamate two historically established genres, that of the poem and that of a comic, to create a very different type of reflective experience. I hope that it will be multimodal. It'll have some visuals and animations and some audio. So there are different layers to enjoy, and perhaps it's more of a graphic novel, an interactive graphic novel potentially. So yesterday I visited the London Buddhist Centre and listened to a lecture as part of the Dharma Day. Now, I don't understand all of it, but what I picked up was the presenter said there were two different types of time. So firstly, chronos, or the kind of sequential linear time that we're using today. And then secondly, kairos, so a kind of mythic time, which is more dynamic, based on kind of critical cruxes, so meaningful or significant events. So the poetry comic that I'm going to present is more of a comic that tries to represent the second type, the kind of kairos, the meaningful event. So performing a poem in a multimodal capacity is something we actually saw in the open mic event itself, with the headline act of Dr. Lee Campbell. Today, the poetry comic I'll perform is a kind of reflective experience of that, a kind of digital story, if you like, and never knowingly undertold. Right. Kapow, boom, and yes. So how did it all start? So last year, you know, with all this poetic comic clot, it started with tech and biography. It was about telling your story of your relationship with technology. It was like life through a technological lens, an opportunity to share with critical friends. What about changing identities and the impact of the pandemic on pedagogy? So I worked with a lecturer to explore this method more using prompts and questions. I blogged about it many times before, personally and professionally. The past 2 years and the critical events have made an impact on us, and we lament poetically, unequivocally, and unapologetically. Technopoetics emerged as a novel way to explore, well, everything without a creative delay. And of poetry, what was the future? From Pecha Kucha to poetic Kucha. So from biography to ethnography, to autoethnography, to techno-autoethnography. In 2021, I explored tech and poetry together as a theme and published a digital sonnet in the magazine called Joy FE. Shall I compare my online life? Thou art more and more engaging. Amongst other lines documenting techno-poetic strife, this developed into further output to the poem I'm a Learning Technologist, Get Me Out of Here in the creative higher education magazine, Planting the Next Foot. So throughout the pandemic, I took to Zoom to perform in open mic events online, a new lease of digital life. Boom, the idea bomb just went off, pow and boom. What if we created an open mic for the creative higher education community on Zoom? Tom, Norman and me, we made it happen as a team. On World Creativity Day, what more could we say? A celebration of original work and ideas, an opportunity to share without any fear. So Norman brought to my attention the UN sustainability goals and the project and its ambition. It sat comfortably alongside the open mic project too, a perfect combination of reflection and thinking things through. The goal is creativity and well-being, and this really spoke to me and its meaning. Collaborative poetic reflection was a thread to run through this project with crowdsourced poetry, which reared its head, providing prompts, textual and visual, to create a poem undoubtedly multimodal. We created a sign-up sheet and guidance for performers, a safe space and a digital dress rehearsal, 5-minute slots and a headline act. What more could we really ask? Autoethnographic poetry, video poetry from Dr. Lee Campbell, from songwriting to animation, spoken word to poetry. We cast a creative spell. We also created a blog post on the Creative Higher Education blog online to explain what we're planning and trying to design. We evaluated the open mic using an online form as a questionnaire. How participants felt about the experience was important because ultimately we care. We asked participants what they enjoyed the most and why. Variety, community, the feeling of belonging were keywords and phrases that stood out and meant a lot. They sang our praises. We asked how people felt after the open mic. Happy, inspired, relieved and delighted were the responses we received. Energized, elevated and happy. We felt happy with what we had collaboratively achieved. We can improve the experience with features on Zoom, such as pinning the speaker to improve the online creative room. A future suggestion was an edu-comedy. The possibilities are endless. A digital circus with digital clowns, wouldn't that be a funny possibility? I presented this whole idea of technopoetics at the University of Brighton at their Everyday Creative Conference, the Creative Possibility, and also at the Women in Academic Support Network event. It was great to share this idea, this approach, and have the opportunity to present. And speaking of the future, what about further ideas that develop from the open mic? Well, signs point to more open mics. In future, we could create an open mic partnership with other organizations and build new creative relationships. The open mic model is interdisciplinary and inclusive, novel, accessible. It gives everyone a voice. Everyone has a creative choice. Polyvocal possibilities, agile pedagogies. What about the impact the open mic project had? What things happened as a result of that? Well, firstly, we caught the attention of JISC, which was really cool. We performed a poem for them at their community event to talk them through embedding creativity into practice. Let's explore creative praxis. A performer created a reflective blog post about their experience of the open mic through their performance to host, which was an outcome and a sign that it felt like we'd done something right. We could also publish our own poetic anthology or host some creative workshops accordingly. Not all poets are superheroes, and not all superheroes are poets. But by the same token, genres were broken, a reversal of expectation for creative exploration. So thank you for listening to my poetry comic. I hope the poetry was simply supersonic. Feel free to email me. My Twitter handle is @pipmac6. So let's return soon for more creative tricks. So here, this is where I leave you. The creative ocean is here, so let's begin. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was wonderful, Pip. Fantastic
Super.
graphics. Fantastic. You'll have to teach us.
Yes, please.
And I think, you know, as I said before, you inspired me through that participating in your open mic event, first of all. And again, I think you've been inspiration today with the way you've approached it and shown us possibilities for the future. Thank you.
Yes, so you should capture the fact that this impact of our event today, don't forget that was something, that was one of your outcomes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Your superpower got here, got to everyone.
Mm.
Pip, do I have control again? I can't see the top of, I can't see whether I have it or not.
It looks like you do.
Okay. I'm going to go straight into Jenny now, Jenny Willis. Jenny has been, well, I've known Jenny for about 15 years, I think, and she worked with me in my previous role at SEPTA. And she's one of the founding members of Lifewide Education and Creative Academic. And unfortunately, she can't be with us today. So I'm going to, she's done a pre-recording, so I'm going to share that with you. That one, and it's optimized, so let's go with it. Yeah.
Hello everyone, and welcome wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenny Willis. I'm a founder member of Lifewide Learning and also of Creative Academic. The ALP I had planned for this year's project sadly failed to achieve my main objective. One of my conclusions was that it was too ambitious, being directed at the meso level of changing values to reduce stigma and improve equality of opportunity. This led me to reflect on my career, during which I've been pursuing those same values of equity and social justice, but at the micro level as a teacher, lecturer, tutor, and researcher. Whenever we undertake a new role, we create a new context for action learning. Here I want to share some of the action learning projects I've engaged in during my professional life and trace the ongoing themes of social justice and valuing diversity. Right, this is where my career began in 1975 at Sarah Siddons School for Girls. For those familiar with London, it was just behind Paddington Station and opposite the notorious Harrow Road police station. The school was worlds away from my own education in countless peaceful primaries and 4 different grammar schools. Here, few wanted to learn. They were used to endless supplies of disinterested supply teachers and would test your resilience with disruptive behavior. The girls were mostly from ethnic minority groups, many new immigrants who didn't speak English. You either sank or swam. Thanks to my creativity and belief in the potential of all, I swam. In the absence of textbooks, I wrote my own resources. In the absence of head of department, I had free rein. I often wonder how many of the girls who passed through my classes also swam. Moving on, by 1983, I was head of the languages department at Pimlico School. My whole career had been in socially deprived areas of Westminster, but Pimlico was different. Here we had a truly comprehensive intake, ranging from children of migrants housed in temporary one-room accommodation to the children of affluent politicians. One of the former group was a 12-year-old, whom I shall call Anna. She first entered my life following a fall in the playground. Her family had just arrived from Colombia. She spoke no English, and I was called on to elicit whatever I could in my limited Spanish. Anna became one of my tutor group, and by the time I left Pimlico to take up a deputy headship in 1989, she was a delightful sixth former, fluent in English and heading for university. You can imagine my delight when in 2012, I received an email out of the blue. It was Anna. She had Googled me and found me through my research at the University of Surrey. She wanted to let me know that she was that very day receiving her master's degree. Then she disappeared again from contact. Move forward to just 2 weeks ago, and I have heard from her once more. Here is some of what she had to say. I shan't read it to you. I'll pause to allow you to have a look yourself. And I should add that Anna is, of course, now Dr. Anna. And she didn't receive special treatment. She was treated just the same as, I hope, all our students were. Now we come to my 70-year-old Open University student Ernest, beside whose bed I sat in a hospice. I'd taken my role as staff tutor beyond its normal boundaries and assumed a pastoral dimension. So when Ernest developed pancreatic cancer, I would visit him. The night before he died, he was asking me to challenge him by throwing him obscure French words to see if he could work out their meaning. I learnt much about humanity through my time with Ernest, which I'm sure has fed into my subsequent professional roles. Then there was a 10-year-old Iraqi immigrant who wrote me this poem a few years ago. After retirement, I found myself teaching in a local tutorial centre. Now I was encountering a different type of student, the children of immigrant roots, mostly from Korea and Central Europe, for whom education still represented a route to social mobility. This beautiful piece was written following one of our discussions about World War I, and it reveals the horror of this young boy's recent experiences in Iraq. But I'm running out of time. So what can I conclude about the SDGs in these micro-action learning projects? Whilst my formal ALP this year may not have succeeded as I had hoped, it has taught me an important lesson. We need to be realistic about what we can achieve, be modest and recognize that the micro-level impacts we can have are important and hold the potential to have cumulative strength. As I've reflected on some events from my professional life, I can see that these themes have been recurrent. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jenny. You're not here, but I'm sure you'll be watching the recording afterwards. Thank you very much. I think what you said about action learning being embedded in life, the life worth living, I think is very important. And in a sense, all our projects have reflected that today. So thank you very much for drawing attention to it.
That was very touching, those conclusions at the end and lovely stories, examples. Thank you, Jenny.
Right, very, very. Thank you, Jenny. Very, very emotional.
Janet, I'm going to hand over to you now. Janet's all the way from Guelph, Ontario, Canada, is an educational developer and well-versed in the technological challenges, as we saw right at the start of today. So, Janet, over to you.
Thank you very much. It's all been very inspiring. I did, I think, manage, oh, my throat is not so good today, so I just hope I don't have a coughing fit. Okay, I did manage to, there you go, embed the font into this this PowerPoint. So a little bit of background. COVID, and when you said do something creative, that's like, you know, a green light to me. So I jump all over the place. I love creativity. I've spent way more time on this than any other project I do at work. I've just had so much fun. It's been a lot of learning. Though what I have found about doing this and reflecting on what I'm going to put into this presentation or this comic, I've done a bit of a PowerPoint comic thing, is how much COVID really interrupted, and still is, we're still not back at the university, everything that we do. Anyway, I will go ahead. I've called this, I've kind of got it kind of fantasy, reality, kind of a bit of everything. So I'm calling it The Survival of OTL, Attack of COVID-19. OTL is the title of our office. It's Office of Teaching and Learning. So we call ourselves OTL. So it's a story of hope, creativity, and inspiration over adversity. This is the team that I work with. Martin is the director. On the other side, Dale is the associate director. Then we have Jen, myself, Aaron, Sharose, Brandon, Sarah, and Christy. And these are our team. I was calling them the heroes, but the way I did it, it isn't really a hero type thing, especially in the way that Pip did it. And I could not get that kind of animation. So anyway, this is what you got. So this is the team and their story. All is calm in the neighborhood. Life is carrying on as usual. It is just a normal Tuesday night. At the bottom of the page is the building that we work in at the University of Guelph. The team are working in the office, going to and from work as they have done forever. Then it happened. Zap, boom, kaboom. COVID-19. They were under attack. The whole world was under attack. COVID-19 came fast and strong. The team was sent home. That's Dale on the outside of the rocket ship, and we're all in the rocket ship. We're out of here. The world went mad, stockpiling toilet paper. Oh no, what am I going to do? I can't find any Luro. Everyone did their part to fight COVID-19. And that's Dale, who is our leader, with a lightsaber. As you can see, I have too much fun doing this. And this is a fantastic graphic I found. The world was being battered. I don't know if you guys know what happened in Canada on Friday. Rogers and Telus, this is the Rogers Center where a lot of baseball goes on. And on the other side is Telus, who is another telecommunication giant. Rogers went down on Friday and basically knocked Canada out. We could actually in some places use a Visa or a MasterCard, but we couldn't do debit. There was no TV, there was no internet, nothing. It really threw us. So actually this is very topical that the Rogers Center is kind of in disarray there. Life, as everyone knew it, changed. Working from home became the new normal. Everyone started getting Zoom fatigue, juggling work, life, and family. Scientists and healthcare workers labored night and day to help with fight COVID-19. Then eureka! A vaccine was created to combat the evil COVID-19. The team got vaccinated. Finally, very slowly, the team tried to return to the office, though all was not as it once was. The war had devastated the office. The team needed to do something drastic to improve the situation. Let's do something creative. They brainstormed, discussed, and planned late into the night, night after night. For days and days, the team planned and planned, had lots of meetings until a fabulous action plan finally came together. Then, just before they were going to meet, disaster struck again. COVID-19 adapted and became a new terror. Oh my Godicon joined COVID-19 to infect the human race. This new variant was more infectious than COVID-19 and caused more havoc. There were more people than ever getting sick. Scientists worked day and night again to fight the new threats. I found that graphic at the top, which I thought was amazing, with all the different variants that we've had. More vaccines were invented, and the team got vaccinated with new concoctions to help with the fight of the ever-increasing variants of COVID-19. The team planned to get together again. Yay, this time success. The team collaborated to make some art. Learning from each other about life and experiences, joys and memories, hopes and dreams. The team learned new things and gained renewed appreciation for one another, their preferences, life journeys, and experiences. Before they knew it, the team had created individual masterpieces. Wow. Gorgeous. These are all the different things that folks had done. The team continued their creative endeavor by voting on their favorite and most poignant teaching quotes to inspire themselves and visitors. What incredibly motivating meetings they're going to have. Then with some magic, the masterpieces turned into inspiring and motivating works of art. Every student can learn, just not on the same day or in the same way. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. The classroom remains the most radical space of possibility in the academy. That's just a sampling of some of them. The team and the office flourished. Wow, look what they've done. All was calm once again, and the team now have a successful, inspiring, and motivational meetings. Everyone, I can't actually see that, loves to come to, across campus, love to have meetings with the OTL team. This is, of course, fiction, because we're not on campus. We love our office. It's an amazing place to be. And they all lived happily ever after. And that's it. Thank you. And there's some references and some things that I got. Okay. Stop.
Lovely resilience story.
Like I said, it was lots and lots of fun. Okay, I am supposed to move this over. How do I do that again?
Thank you, Janet. It's fine, I think. It's fine.
Okay.
I think you've reminded us again, and this was all about having fun and enjoying ourselves and, trying our best to be creative in whatever way we can. And I think you've just provided us with a great example. We're almost up against our 90 minutes, but just for a couple of minutes, if anybody would like to say anything about what's happened, the impressions you've got, how you felt, what's resonated with you, and literally we're only going to keep to 2 minutes. So it's just a 2-minute, if you like, celebration of what we've just experienced.
This was so great. It was so great to see all the different ways that people, and I love in an open mic thing like this where you're bouncing around different emotions. From, Melissa's was really moving and Jenny's too. And then there've been moments of real kind of humor and color and liveliness. And it's just great all the day. It's like being on a roller coaster.
Exactly. I was impressed by how many global, national, local, personal things happened in this space of time whilst we did our project. So we navigated through all of those things.
It's lovely to see all the differences in different parts of the world and everyone trying the same thing, again, inspiring and makes you feel, again, in the same pond with the same fish.
Yes, connected.
Yeah.
Connected. And I think I'll bring my into being in again there, because I think that's what it is at the end of the day, isn't it? It's these relationships which have really deep meaning are the way we all feel connected, not with just the world, with places, with homes and things like that, but with people who, also have rich lives and want to share things that are worthwhile and important to them in their lives. And I think that really goes to the heart of what we've been trying to do, I think. And it's definitely emerged through all these diverse contributions.
I love the way a dog is even in our, you know, there isn't a Zoom without a dog, is there? So I'm glad we have one.
Okay, well, I think we're dead on now, our 90 minutes, and really it's been a joy. Thank you so much all for contributing. I mean, not only today, which has been exceptionally, you know, inspiring, but also right the way through the 3 months of the project. It's been really great to be part of that. And yeah, it's a real privilege to swim with you, I suppose. Thank you very much.
Thank you
all.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
we'll put the recording on the web page, and you may want to carry on with this conversation about, you know, what's been presented today. The opportunity will be there if you want to say things about it and try to draw other people, you know, to swim with us, as it were, into that. But thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Take
Thank
care, everybody.
you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Norman.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you. Bye-bye.